All right, so yeah, this is a live webinar for the anonymous traders, and we went over things last week, had some recording issues, so we're just kind of redoing every week's webinar. So I just kind of wanted to let everybody know what happened. Derek, or Cosmic, we don't really know him as Derek necessarily, but Cosmic is no longer with us. He decided he wanted to go like heavy on the monetization side and policing side, which was uh, kind of against the whole point of this Discord in the first place. That's kind of what we were getting away from. We were all originally in Tim Alerts, following Mr. Tim Sykes, and constantly getting policed or gagged, so to speak, and got tired of all the heavy monetization and advertising, basically. So that's not what we're into. And Derek wanted to continue that way, and Spaz and I did not. So here we are. Cosmic decided to go solo and go his own route, and that's pretty much it. So you've got a lot of changes coming. You've probably already seen a lot of them since we did start this kind of last week, but Spaz will kind of go over a little bit of that. So go ahead, Spaz.
Yeah, so basically when you're entering into Discord, you're going to initially just be in the welcome channel. There is a video here for you so that you can kind of
Do you want to
see and have
switch?
it.
Do you want to show your Discord?
Oh, video's coming back on. Sorry about that. So when you're coming into the welcome, you're actually going to have a little video here that explains a little more in depth, but coming into the welcome, you're going to want to jump into this verification. This is actually going to verify and show that you are not a bot, not someone that's coming in to just post a link and try to get people to go to other servers or something like that. But the biggest thing is, here's our new system. It's more broken down for traders or students. You have different trading styles. At the same time, you can follow a specific moderator that chooses to have a private channel or be able to post recaps on a daily basis, whatever it may be. So you just come in here, choose your options. You can turn them on and off as you please. Different channels will appear, or different sections are going to appear as you turn them on. So just kind of browse through and see what kind of fits your need. But there's obviously going to be more to come. Check out the rules and navigation as well. This is kind of just the bare bones of it, but just a brief glimpse as far as what's kind of coming. I'm going to have another video breaking down a little bit more in depth, but the changes just to kind of make it more adaptable to everybody. You have more specific areas just to know what you're trading, not necessarily what you're trading, but have open discussions in your specific sections or styles. Same time, being able to be into the alerts or just be into the learning. So there's a lot to change, a lot of changes coming. Just stay tuned. This will be, I think, rolling out this weekend, right before Labor Day. So pretty exciting stuff. Another video will be coming out though, just kind of more in-depth explanation as far as where everything is set up, how it is. So, um, I guess Goose, as far as, did you want to go over some trades from this week?
Yeah, sure. I actually didn't make any trades this week. Last week I did close out my CHMA trade. Surprisingly enough, it really hasn't skyrocketed like the normal goose sell bag supernova afterwards pattern. It did go up about 50. Could have made a little bit more if I held on to it a little bit longer, but other than that, didn't really didn't lose out too much on that. this week I've been kind of quiet too. I mean, I've made a lot of calls, but I can't even remember them. Usually I tweet about my calls that I make. This particular time, the only one I tweeted about was NAFS, because I actually went into Tim Alerts too and talked to them about it. Let me get it up here. It's easier to see. So that was the NAFS climb on September 2nd. 11:30 roughly is when that news broke, which is actually a great time for news to break, for one thing. It's midday, so there's a lot of people, not a lot of news breaks midday. So it's not going to have a lot of contenders. There's not as many people trading, which could be to your benefit as well, because you're not going to get that huge spike. And you might have a little bit more time for an entry, but basically, that's the news here. If you can see it, it just says Voicare enters into MOU with Salesforce.com, which Salesforce.com is CRM, the ticker CRM. Charlie, what is that? Romeo, Mike. trying to talk like Charlie there. But anyway, and then back and the official NASA ISS video. So NASA is in the headline. It's actually in regards to telehealth, digital health platform, a women's digital health platform. So that's what it's in as far as sector wise, is the whole telehealth sector. But the fact that it's an MOU with CRM, big company. If you don't know anything about CRM, they have been just skyrocketing as of late. Well, not over the last 2 days or so, but this was their 1 month chart. At 200, they had ridiculous earnings, just took off from there. But they're a big company, so it's a big name, so to speak, to be attached to. And then with NASA in the headlines, it doesn't matter if it's good news. Really, in my opinion, at that point, you're going to have so many people just seeing the headline, seeing MOU with Salesforce and official NASA ISS video, International Space Station. So yeah, it just screams great news to me. The float wasn't available on Benzinga. I have no idea really what the float was. I didn't care. It's a really low price stock for one thing, so it's a great play. It's OTC, so you do have OTC fees unless you have Fidelity or Schwab, which have no OTC fees. Highly recommend them if you're going to play OTCs. But this is the chart from it. I'll actually go more into this chart in just a minute because I'm going to use it for our candlestick patterns. But yeah, as you can see, it's not just a big spike right at the news. Like I was saying, there's not a lot of people at 11:30 midday playing, so it just kind of ran up and gave you plenty of time to take a position on it and make some money. So other than that, I've been kind of laying low. I did miss out on a few things, unfortunately, because of work. Could have played DPW. I called DPW this morning, which was another early morning spiker at like 6:30, I think. Yeah, 6:30 was the news. So I didn't catch the spike. I usually don't like to play the spike at 6:30. If it's a 4 a.m. spiker where I get the news and I can play it right at 4 a.m., it's a different story. But when I'm getting the news at 6:30, generally speaking, there's, I don't know, 20 news articles for me to go through at 6:30. And by the time that I actually find the ones that are meaningful, it's already 6:31, maybe even 6:32. And I've missed that initial spike. I'd just be chasing at that point. So I generally wait for a pullback and try to see what's going to happen. But it did have a pullback and started to spike a little bit right at 7 a.m. That's what this green candle is here. And then actually pulled back even more at 7 a.m. I was gonna play it on both of my accounts, the Trade Zero account right before 7 a.m. and then E-Trade right after 7. But I had to get my kids up. Basically, life restriction makes me hesitant, so I didn't play it. Could have made about $1,000 off the spike right at 7 a.m. So you're talking by 7:10. Could have made a pretty penny had I played that. Live and learn. Just something where I gotta start pulling the trigger more and not really caring about life restrictions, so to speak. I mean, I don't want to say not care about my kids. I definitely want to care about my kids. I'm going to take care when it's a spike that quick. You're talking 10 minutes. I could have made enough money. So, other than that, I didn't really have any great plays. To play WLL was a great play, but again, I didn't see the news because I was at work, and I wish I had. I would have made everybody a lot of money probably, or if somebody wanted to take the chance of believing me that news was going to fly. I actually don't understand if you don't know about WLL. So that news hit at 1 o'clock. 5 minutes. That is 5 days. No, I don't want to go to 10 days. Well, that TOS, geez. I guess you can't do 10-minute 1 minute 10 days. Probably not.
You can.
No.
I think.
2 minute.
They restrict.
Yeah,
Some
they restricted on
recently.
the minute interval. So yeah, this is WLL, and so the news actually hit here in this little time at about 1 o'clock, and I have no idea why it would have tanked like that off of that news. Basically, they reorganized the company, got $3 billion of debt basically refunded to them, and $3 billion of debt when you're talking about a energy company, petroleum company, so to speak. Their revenue is $1 billion, and their net income is negative $4 billion. So that $3 billion basically brought their their net income to a reasonable level, especially regarding their revenue. And it's a market cap, low market cap, but an enterprise value of $3 billion, with a market cap of 71 million. So, and then you look at the previous chart, or I'm not even going to go to that chart, go to that overview, but you look at the 1-year chart, 2-year chart, you're looking at a company that has had debt issues for a few years, and just, it's a high priced company, or it used to be. So for them to reorganize and get to the point where they can actually start making money again, is a big deal. And it was at 45 cents right here at the low. Like I said, I don't know why it would have cracked like that off of that news. But yeah, you could have first of all played it right here on that crack, 45 cents to 66 cents. I mean, that's a pretty good play in itself. But you had all this time to just get in on that news, and the next day it just didn't even give you a chance. Like right at the open, just skyrocketed. You could have played all morning pre-market, but right at 9:30, well, actually at 10 o'clock, I guess, it just went ballistic in one candle. It's not even that much volume. Just crazy to think. No FOMO though, no FOMO. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It makes me just think, why do I have a day job? I need to be just staring at the stock market all day so that I can actually look at this stuff, look at these plays, and make more stuff happen. Anyway, Spaz, go ahead. I'm sure you actually made some trades this week, if
No,
I'm not
actually, I did
mistaken.
not. I cleared out and sold a massive bag.
Well, if that works.
Something that I should have done long ago.
I shut my video off
A
if you
little
want to go back
upset
to
with
the video.
myself for holding it this long, but I'm sure many people can already guess. Um, Sorry, give me one second. I'm actually switching my time frame back.
Your video's not on, Spaz.
There we go. My my long bag of X-Spa. I finally sold it. Took a pretty gnarly loss on it. Little upset about it, but I already saw that I was down Monday. Should have sold it first thing before market open. I didn't. Held it. Was alright, but still, I held it way too long. That was a 400 share position from with an average down after the reverse split, but I was holding from before the reverse split. Also had made a mobile mistake where I accidentally sold in part of my position from before the split because of how my account's set up to sell first. Um, but whatever. I took the rest of the week off. Still kind of was watching. Still calling my swings for the watch list every day. I've actually been doing fairly good with that. There's been a couple plays that I called this week. SHLO was by far the best play. A little upset that I didn't actually play it, but this was into play before I actually had sold out of my X-Spa, to where I actually had liquidity. Could have traded, but just kind of told myself no, just watch, focus, make sure that I'm in the right spot. So SHLO though was on my Wednesday night going into Thursday watch list. I did not actually see any news on this. I think this was just a low float overextended, as you can see. What was that Monday morning? It it fell
Sorry.
fairly hard. Uh, Actually, I think a couple of our members today had actually made a profit off this. Uh, Fairly decent too.
Uh, MP
Yeah,
Burrito made
NP.
like
Yeah, I know he had
600
he
bucks
had
off
made
it.
a great profit off that. Um, I do wish he had saw my alert Thursday morning at least. Um, but this had multiple opportunities for multiple profits. So I'm a little upset that I missed out on this, but no FOMO. Another one that was on my watch list, Thursday, my Thursday watch list. Obviously, it was already up based off of its earnings, but I was looking for these key swing spikes right here. I knew it was going to continue. It was okay today. Obviously, it fell down, but late afternoon it still had opportunities, so I was still watching it. But again, I wasn't actually actively trading. That was VRA. Another one that was on my watch list was CRNT. This is actually not on a watch list that I posted, but this is on one of my personal as far as swing trades. This one was actually, I caught it Wednesday, because obviously the run up on it. I continue to watch it, multiple opportunities again to play off this. I mean, I actually was tempted today, but obviously I was still holding, didn't want to mess with my liquidity. I wanted to kind of just wait till Tuesday, have a full reset after the long weekend. In fact, I'm going to continue to watch this on Tuesday to see if it has any potential price action that I can play. UAVS was my swing that I had last week. I got into this a little early. It kind of still cracked back down to where I was down a little bit, came back up, but then Monday had gotten news as far as Amazon's approval from FAA on drone delivery. And so, being rumored, to my knowledge, I don't know if it's actually confirmed, but rumored that they're Amazon's supplier. So I felt this was just obviously sympathy play off that. You can see it continued downward all week. Still had playable action off of it if you actually watch the price action, but I was kind of over it after that actual news releasing. As you can see, Monday was a fairly decent day. Really the last one that was on my watch list, and this was on my Sunday night watch list going into Monday. Obviously not much really on Monday itself, but all day it had news. If I'm not mistaken, oh, I had this up. This is one that plays off of crypto. I don't remember the specific news on Monday. Oh, it was the price target boost on it. Multiple different uh, companies actually boosting the rating on it. And so this just continued all day. If you use Bazinga Pro, it had the little carrot on multiple news releases at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Oh, that's actually local, so I guess it was closer to market open. But it's, again, throughout the week, even after all that news or the price changes, you still had plenty of price action on here. Watching the candles, watching level 2. I have several indicators obviously that I watch, but I've been getting better at the swing trade calls and looking forward to actually going into next week though. I already kind of have a couple on my watch list that I'll be posting after doing a little bit more due diligence on this weekend, especially being a longer weekend. And we'll see. Should hopefully be a good week. But Goose?
Turn off your video then. Switch to mic. So first, I wanted to talk about. I'm going to get into the candlestick and volume that I went over. That a few people have been studying and watching, and been getting several questions about as well. I keep on talking about the candlestick inside candle, so I'll get to that in just a moment. But I did want to show you my current Benzinga Pro setup. So mainly I use my kitchen sink setup, which is what you see here. It's got my movers that I can change. I generally stick to 5 minutes or session. So if I want to take a look session, I'll switch it real quick. But generally speaking, I'm sticking to 5 minutes when I'm on the screen. Got my watch list of whatever day I'm watching Thursday this week. My positions, Robbie's positions. That's my brother. He plays big game stuff. But I keep track of his position as well. And then my news feed, which I'm not going to go over all the categories. This is something you can probably find in a video that we've done before, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I'll eventually make a video on all my categories, but I'm pretty sure there's one out there. But so it's just got my main news feed, watch list, movers, and detail screen. Next tab over is my signal alerts. So I've got a news feed for block trades. If you type in block in the filter keyword, it just brings up your block, your news, but you also have to be just Benzinga signals for your category, and then block for your keyword filter. And it'll bring you up every block trade that comes in. And then I've got a news feed for Benzinga signals, Benzinga wire, and press releases. It's going to bring in everything. And then I've got my signals I like to have everything checked on the signals, except for on the highs and lows. I just go with the 52-week high and 52-week low. Otherwise, it pretty much fills everything up. If you click on session high, you got nothing but like session highs. I mean, it fills up the screen. So I don't like to have that open, especially during market hours. Pre-market hours and after hours, you could do session high. It still fills it up pretty good, but it's not quite as bad. The next tab is actually my watch list creation tab. So that's called Horology, which is the creator of clocks, basically. That's what Horology is, somebody who creates clocks. So that one I generally stick to after hours and session for my movers. That's what I'm looking at when I'm creating a watch list, because I create it the night before, after the after hours session is over. That is also in a video, how to create. No, actually, it's not. That's a video we never did record. So, anyways, I'm going through those main movers for the session and seeing if they closed on the. So basically, like this one, if I went on SRAX, you can see it spiked and it didn't close on the high. It closed on 50%. I will look at the actual chart. This is the overview chart, but just to see the volume. If it lost volume, I can usually tell by the candlesticks. It didn't really lose too much volume, so to speak. So that might be an okay play, but I really want something that kind of closed on the high. So PER, lots more volume. You can see large candles all the way up to the close. It almost closed on the high. That would be something I would be watching come Tuesday morning. Obviously, I'm not necessarily interested in BIOC, and you can also see there was no big movers this after hours. 25% was the top gainer. It's pretty pitiful, actually. But that's what I'll do. Is I'll just click on it. You can see this. This is no volume. These are not even candlesticks. So it spiked huge off of probably one trade. I'm not looking at it. Obviously, that's not something I'm interested in. But that's what I'm looking for. Something that closed on the high with volume. So the only one I see so far would be PER, and pretty quick PER, add to watch list, Tuesday. Now it's on my Tuesday watch list, ready to go. Then on my news feed over here, I pretty much have the full news feed. So it's everything checked with no category filters. I want to see every bit of news that comes in when I'm creating my watch list. And then below it is the signals. The reason I like to have that is it'll usually show me those block trades at the end of the day. I could even just type in keyword block, but I also like to look at the option alerts and stuff like that. See what people think is going to move in the future. Gives me an idea of what to put on the watch list. So block trades, option alerts, that's kind of what you're looking for in the signals. And that's really mostly what you're going to see as I'm scrolling through here. This is all option alerts and block trades. You're not going to see too much else on the signals from the newsfeed signal. If you're on the other thing, it's different. But when you just click on Benzinga signals, that's pretty much what you see in the newsfeed. Is halts, block trades, and option alerts. So that's why I have that there. Any big block trade that's above the ask, like this one here, Fox A, that might be a good play. Good play because somebody just bought 740,000 shares at $28 a share, and that's above the ask. So they were willing to go above the ask block trade to get that trade through. So they're spending a lot of money. Usually a fairly good sign, because I'm not spending nearly that much. Earnings monitor is my next tab. That's just monitoring earnings. Pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, it pulls up their financials on the detail screen. That's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at earnings. And then you've got your earnings calendar. So I've got all the earnings for whatever week range I want. I can choose down here this week, this month, whatever, and quickly change it. And then your news is set up for Benzinga Wire and guidance, if I'm not mistaken, earnings and guidance in the news section. And so that'll give you all the earnings and all the guidance that comes out, which is what you're looking for. Next one is analyst ratings. So similar to the earnings tab, it's just pulling all the analyst ratings. You've got the analyst ratings calendar. And the same thing on your sources. You've got Benzinga Wire press releases, and your categories is the entire analyst ratings category. So it's going to bring in all the analyst ratings at one time. And then the last tab is actually extremely useful these days. Now that COVID plays are kind of winding down a little bit, institutional ownership seems to be a very big play as of late. A lot of really big spikers on people taking a passive stake, or insider buys, so to speak. And that's what these forms tell you. These are all SEC filings, but Form SC 13D, Form 13F, Form 10, and Form SC 13G all are in relation to insider buys, passive stakes, and the quarterly report, which is Form 10. Quarterly reports will show who the institution is. Quarterly report. So that's the reason for that tab. I actually use two Benzinga Pro setups. I have another Benzinga Pro tab. I don't use them in the same workspace so that the tabs are not too far across the screen. I scroll through tabs. So on this tab setup, it's a news desk. This news desk is all the news. And it's very important, I find, right now because of the fact that COVID is winding down. So I don't know what the hot sector is right now, or what the hot sector is going to be. So I want to just get all the news. And by dividing it into 3 different news categories, I've got the signal alerts here. I've got the SEC filings here. And then I've got this news, everything but the SEC filings. I do have it categorized. I don't want the after hour center. I don't want ETFs. I don't want economics. I usually actually don't choose government. I usually don't choose Federal Reserve, but that will tell you market movement. Those news articles will move the entire market, not just single stock. But so that's kind of important too. So I decided to go ahead and add those in as of recent. Other than that, I mean, I check all the different markets. The only one I would take off probably here for markets, maybe options, because it will flood your news feed during market hours. After hours and pre-market, it really doesn't. But during market hours, when options are available to trade, having that options will flood the hell out of your news. But all the news is checked. I want it all. I'm not sure what's going to move shit these days. It's been kind of weird, the tickers that have actually been spiking and the news that they've been spiking on. So I just want it all right now. Pretty much everything. Everything's there except for trade ideas, signals, which is down here, reviews, pre-market outlook, and then ones I don't care about. I do have a movers tab next, which is actually the big movers tab. So it's got 5 minutes, 30 minutes, hour session. I found that 5 minutes and 15 minutes are close enough to each other that it doesn't make a huge difference or reason to have all, have it as its own tab. So I will just swap between those two. And the time that I'll do that is, say it's 4 a.m. 4 a.m. When it gets to 4:15, I'll switch to the 15-minute 15-minute time frame just to see what has really moved in that first 15 minutes. But by having them all open like this, you can get a better idea of what's actually moving, opposed to what is just like a single little tiny spike for no reason at all whatsoever. On watch, I've got set up for my watch list basically. It's going to have my watch list here, and then a signal section for whatever watch list I choose. Right now it's on my positions, but signal alert section just for that particular watch list, and then a news feed just for that watch list. The news feed is no categories. It's just all the sources checked and then filtered by my watch list. So it's dedicated to my watch list. The research tab is just a detail screen, so I can really get a full picture of a company all on one big screen. Trade ideas is, I don't really use that often, but this news section down here is basically all their pre-market stuff. So I've got all the categories checked, all the sources checked. Then I've got their after hours center, intraday update, and pre-market outlook, and that's it. And that's mainly stuff that only Benzinga Wire puts out. So you don't even need all those sources checked, but you could just have BZ Wire. But they've added some new stuff, like the looks into earnings. They've added that recently. Insider buys for each company, they've added those articles recently. Benzinga Wire has, and so some of that stuff's pretty useful. And then on this side is just the trade ideas. So it's got trade ideas, the why is it moving thing, interview. I guess I could do opinion, and that's probably and reviews. So I don't know if reviews, I'm not sure that would be necessary, but opinion, trade ideas, why is it moving, interviews, all in this little section. So that's pretty it with Benzinga Pro. So I'll flip back over to Thinkorswim. And right now I've got pulled up Nimly just because I forgot about it, but I did call Nimly today. It has been a while since Nimly actually made any type of significant movement. But it's been on such a heavy downtrend for a long time now. I almost sold my bag a few times and got rid of it. But Nimly is, if you don't know what Nimly is, so Nimly is like Luckin Coffee. They had fraud back in what am I thinking, February. So let me go to that research so I can pull up Nimly's big chart. So Nimly, if you look at the 2-year chart, Nimly was a fairly large company. I guess the fraud, I think, was actually started to be discovered or talked about in this big red giant drop candle here. But it was actually in February where it was kind of determined to be true, and you can see it just dropped right there from February on. Had a big spike in April for no real reason at all whatsoever. It did spike up to $15, but they're under reorganization right now, similar to WLL, except WLL was for bankruptcy purposes. This company is not bankrupt. This is the largest healthcare provider in the richest area of the world, which is Dubai. So they are a big time company. They could easily, after reorganization, get back to where they were before. And that's anywhere up in this area from 50 to 30. Shit. I'd be happy with $10 right now. If it got back to $10, I would be happy. But that's my hopes on this long play, that is that they'll go through their reorganization and do something similar to what Whiting Petroleum did and spike up to $20 after reorganized, so to speak. But today, as you can see, generally speaking, when they open, it cracks at the open. Sometimes they'll get a little climb. It actually cracked right here off the open and then climbed off the bounce. So this is a crack at the open, crack at the open, crack at the open, crack at the open. If it cracks at the open, if it goes immediately red, Nimley is never a good play. I've never seen it on the pattern. It's got to be green or just staying right at the red-green line at the open. So that's kind of what it did this morning. It stayed right there. It didn't really budge too much. So as you can see, I mean, it just didn't really do anything at the open. So I just was like, well, I think it's going to move. So I called it out. Nimley's going to make a move today, and sure enough, I mean, you don't think of it as much, but when something goes from 15 cents to a high of, what is that, 21.50, that's a big move. I mean, that's a lot of money, that you potentially could have made. Even if you held on to it all day, you're still looking at a 18.76% gain. So that spike right there, I wish it was a lot more. I almost would say that I would get out of my position after holding on to it for so long. I do wish that it would, like I said, do what Will did. But if I did go with, what was it, down at 13 cents, I believe. Yeah, a low of 13 cents. So I averaged down just the other day. I thought for sure that, where was it that I averaged down? Right here at 18? It wasn't even there. I thought it was in this area. I averaged down at 18 cents, basically. I thought for sure that was going to be the low. I think it was right on the track, and then it started to climb back up. Or it was it was on this crack right here. Yeah, that's where it was. So it cracked right here. I thought that was going to be the low of 18, and I averaged down my position right there at 18 cents, and then it just continued to go back. Had I averaged down at 13 cents, I would have been able to exit with a profit spike today. So what would I have exited? I don't know. It's hard to say. The way that Mark's been running lately, I almost want to just exit this one so I don't have two positions that I'm losing a crap ton of money on. But it is what it is. I have a feeling that Nimley, just based off of this day, is going to do similar on Tuesday. Not necessarily the 100% gains that it used to get on its green swings, but another, this is probably, I mean, it says it's 20% at the end of the day, but that spike was like 30, 40% roughly. So I think you're probably going to get another spike like that on Tuesday. We'll see. If it, like I said, if it goes red right at the start of the day, it's not worth your time. So candlesticks, that's what I wanted to talk about, the inside candle and the volume profile. I guess I could have showed you that on Nimley, but the volume profile is this over here. So anytime this blue bar gets all the way to the end like that, that's a major level. This is a very choppy price action volume profile because it doesn't get like significant huge volume. This is more kind of what you want to look for on a volume profile, where it gets these little concave sections. So if it breaks this, that it's gonna, go cut through that easily. Now all this volume was made with spikes, so you would have to look at this chart before that to get support and resistance levels going into this chart. But you can do that. So if you're doing it real time, so to speak, on something that's spiking and you want to know your support and resistance levels, I mean, you can go back as long as you want. If you go back to three years, it creates your support and resistance volume profile. So you can go back as long as you want. 5 days, that's mainly volume off of this spike. Let's see, let's go with 30. Where's my 90 day? There. So this would be a better example because you've got spikes, not quite as high as this, but you've got spikes. So as this one was running this past week, when it was down in this area, these blue bars would still be here from these previous spikes. So you'd have a good idea of support and resistance levels off of those blue volume profile bars. Obviously now it looks different because of this spike. It's a lot more populated, but real time is what I'm. Real time, you could have looked at it. The inside candle that I'd like to show everybody, and I've been talking about, I showed everybody in the last week. JJ Udi has been using it this week and has been praising me for it, so to speak. Go even further here. Go to here. So as you can see, as the starts to spike, first of all, a large green candle like this generally is followed by another large green candle. So that's usually a good sign. This would be an anomaly where you see a large green candle and it's not followed by one. But generally speaking, if you've got a large green candle, I'm not talking about these little small guys. I'm talking about something with a little bit of body to the candle. It's going to be followed by another large green candle. You just don't know how long that's going to last. And that's where the inside candle plays in. So as you can see on this green spike, this is an inside candle, that red one. Inside candle needs two things basically to be a true inside candle, or inverse engulfing candle is also another way that you might hear it called. But the body, which is, I'll explain, the body of the candle is the thick part of the candle. The lines on the top and the bottom are called wicks. Okay. That is, when I say the body of the candle needs to be inside the previous candle, I'm talking about the thick part of the candle needs to be inside the previous candle. So as you can see, this is that tiny little line. It's not a very thick candle, for one thing. Usually inside candles are not thick. An inside candle is usually going to be a thin body with long wicks on the top. And that makes it a true inside candle when it has those wicks. You will get inside candles like this one that's got a thicker body. It does have a bottom wick, but it has no top wick. It's still an inside candle because it's inside the previous candle, but it's not your traditional inside candle. Same thing with this one. So you see a red candle right here. Technically, it's inside the previous candle's body, but it has no wicks to it. So that is not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is thin bodied candle with a long wick, top and the bottom. What that tells you is that the sellers and the buyers are at a tug of war, and they're not making a decision. Basically, they can't make a decision. So what that shows you is a reversal. So if it's been in an uptrend and all of a sudden the sellers start to take over, they start winning the tug of war, it's going to reverse. And so when you see that green uptrend and an inside candle like that, you're going to see a pullback. Pullback didn't last very long. But that's again where the inside candle plays into the same thing. If it's on a downtrend like it is here, you see an inside candle, thin body, two long ass wicks. Those are really long wicks. It reversed. Again, it's not a very long reversal. That's the only thing. The inside candle can't guarantee any type of length of the trend, but it can tell you when there's a reversal. It doesn't matter if it's red or green. If this was a green inside candle, it's still going to pull back because it happened on the uptrend. A prime example of that is right here on the downtrend here. You've got a red inside candle and it reversed. Okay. Technically, this is an inside candle, but it doesn't have the wicks. That's kind of why you don't see much of a pullback. It just barely does, and then continues to climb. Same thing here. You've got a spike, inside candle, it pulls back. This was just a prime example all day long of, well, not all day long, but through this entire spike, basically, of the inside candle. If you're not affected by the PDT rule, you could just scalp the hell out of this play, constant, just playing off of inside candle reversals. So the same thing here. You do have two wicks, very tiny. It's not a great example of an inside candle, but it is an inside candle and it does reverse the trend. It actually has a significant reversal on the trend, all the way up to probably, I wouldn't call this an inside candle. That body's too thick. But right here would be your green inside candle, followed by a red one. It pulls back. No sign of reversal on this necessarily, unless you want to call this an inside candle. I would not call it one. But you do get a reversal, and you could play this all the way up to this inside candle. So once again, thin body, two long ass wicks. I mean, that's about the beauty, most beautiful inside candle you get are these ones that are these long, huge wicks with a thin body. That shows the biggest reversal usually. So anyway, it reversed pretty hard at that point, and it never really recovered. You still had plenty of potential to play. So downtrend, inside candle, and it reverses. Same thing, it reverses up to this inside candle, and then it reverses back. Very, very simple pattern. And it's great for day trading. You can use this. Let me go to, I'm just going to pick a stock. I have not looked at any of these stocks like Tesla. I have not looked at this chart. I have not been playing Tesla, so I don't even know if we're going to find any inside candles on this. It's pretty big, lots of volume. But that's an inside candle right off the open, right at 9:30. It's on a downtrend, inside candle right at the open, massive reversal. No real inside candle to indicate the next reversal. I mean, that is an inside candle, and that's where I say Tesla is doing so much volume that you're not going to get that perfect inside candle usually where it looks like that. This would be an anomaly. So you can get faked out, but it's on a downtrend. There's an inside candle right here, and it continues to downtrend. Now it did reverse at some point, but it did continue past that inside. So it's not always perfect, but see, that's another reversal inside candle right here, and it reverses. Uptrend, inside candle, pulls back. It's just ridiculously accurate. But it's even more accurate. Any type of pattern really is more accurate on a daily chart. So if you're looking at a daily chart, inside candle, and it pulls back. Tesla is not a great chart to look at for pullbacks. I mean, it's been at a ridiculous climb since March. So it's not a great example to find pullbacks like that. But here, lo and behold, we did find inside candle with a pullback, and it's a massive inside candle. It's got 2 long wicks, thin ass body. So it can be used on a daily chart. It's actually more accurate. Any pattern, cup and handle, double top, double bottom, flag, ascending triangle, descending triangle, all that shit is more accurate on a longer term because you're taking more price action into the same pattern. So if you're looking at a daily chart of 1 minute intervals, this, seeing this pattern might, work, I don't know, 30% of the time or something. That's a low number. Whereas if you're looking at the same pattern on a daily chart, it would work 70% of the time. And those numbers are that's not even a good example because any pattern should work more than 30%. I was just throwing out there that on a daily chart, on a long-term daily chart, you're going to get more price action brought into making a pattern. And so it's more reliable. Whereas on an intraday, you're subject to a lot more volatility. So it's just not quite as reliable. So that's kind of what I wanted to go over. Covers it a little bit better. Last week, I went over several different tickers with the inside candle, but DPW did have a inside candle here. It's not one with very long wicks. It did climb a little bit afterwards, but then it got this inside candle with super long wicks, thin body, and it reversed. Down on the reversal, hits an inside candle, gets a slight uptrend, hits another inside and reverses. I wouldn't even call this a great inside candle here. It is an inside candle, but it had a massive climb after that. So I guess it's a good example. But that's not what an inside candle looks like. And then you've got your anomaly right here. This is an inside candle, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's an inside candle, and it continued to climb. So you've got instances where it's not absolutely perfect, but as you can see, I've shown you enough instances, and that was just picking. I didn't look at that one. And matter of fact, Spaz, do you want to throw a ticker at me and we can pull it up, see if
go with my recent favorite, PEIX.
PEIX. So we'll just look at the dailies of the most recent days.
You can look at it anytime in the last month since its earnings, pretty much.
So yeah, massive spike here, inside candle. It does have a slight trend up, but it pulls back. You wouldn't have made much more after this spike, inside candle. Same thing after the spike down, inside candle, it does do a slight reversal. Obviously not anything you would have made any money off of, but you would have sold right here because that's another inside candle. It's not a great inside candle because there's not a lot of volume here, but it's an inside candle, and it reverses again. Same thing on this pullback.
2 months ago, how we were talking SPCE Virgin
about
Galactic,
it engulfing. Oh yeah.
All before it got played the sympathy. This stock has actually been moving how that has been moving previously.
Mm-hmm.
And
so yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. So it's the same thing though, pullback, inside candle reverses. Inside candle ends that reversal and it pulls back again. Now this is called an engulfing candle. Thank you, Spaz. So this is the same idea. If you have a trend where the next candle engulfs the previous, it is also a sign of reversal. So that is not as common to see, but that would be a sign of a reversal. You've got a small little red guy, and it's swallowed up by the next tick, and it reverses. But then you got an inside candle at the top, and it pulls back. Inside candle at the bottom of the pullback, reverses.
I would
Pretty
trade this a
consistent.
lot intraday if I wasn't under the PDT rule.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, if you're not under the PDT rule, this inside candle action is all you need. Screw the volume bar. You don't need the volume. Um, you need the inside candle. Now, obviously, you don't want to play something no volume, but other than that, you can play off of just candlesticks. I could get rid of all these little indicators, VWAP, and support and resistance, my volume profile bar. I could get rid of all that shit and not care because I could just play off of inside candle reversal. Pullback, inside candle, reversal.
Pull up
Yeah.
BMRA. Is that right?
BMRA.
Yeah, it ran today.
All right. Let's see. It's gonna be harder to see these candles. So pullback at the start, inside candle. It's not. It doesn't have any wicks. Doesn't really change. Um, so inside candle reverses. This is a terrible climb off of this, but that's like I said, without the wicks on it, it's not really an inside candle, and it's really thick bodied. Thick body. This is more an inside candle. You could say. So it's still on a downtrend, technically. Inside candle, slight reversal to an inside candle, then a pullback. Inside candle, followed by an inside candle with actual wicks, reverse. Um, Now you do have like this. Like I said, it's an inside candle, doesn't have any wicks on it, continues to climb. So it's not always technically perfect, but that's where if you were not affected by the PDT rule, it really wouldn't matter to you. You just keep trading it as it goes. This one does not have any pullbacks, Spaz. So terrible example. It just
You did go
continued to
towards the end of
climb
the
all day.
day. It did have a little pullback at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
So it did have a little slight pullback
I
right
just wanted
here,
to
I
give you a
guess.
challenge.
So let's see. Oop, here we go. Let's see here. So inside candle, pullback. An engulfing candle. The rare seen engulfing candle
Two in
after
a
that
row.
pullback, and it climbs. Yeah, there's an anomaly. Inside candle, it does pull back for a second, but then can not really too much action. There's really not a lot of wick action in this chart. Really strange. Seeing uh, very consistent buying or selling in this case. But it did still have inside candles to really tell you um, when to get in, when to get out. Uh, this would be a prime example of big green bar followed by big green bar followed by big green bar. So if you do have an instance where even though it's been climbing like this, uh, it's already been on the uptrend, but they're really tiny candles. It's not a lot of volume, and then all of a sudden you get a big green bar. You can guarantee it's going to take a pretty hefty spike at that point, at least up to an inside candle where it pulls back. So um, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the volume profile bar, like I said, that's going to tell you your support and resistance levels, and you can, go back to 5 days, So this one is a good example of that because it was in that price level previously. So you've got support and resistance. So as you can see, it's once it gets up to this area, it's going to have a tough time getting through it. It's going to have a tough time getting through this. Anytime it's going through a thick volume profile, it's going to move slower than, you know, uh, slower than you think it would. Whereas if it's not a lot going on here, and that's why people talk about gap ups and gap downs. It's important uh, to know when there's a gap up or a gap down because during market hours, it's going to cut through that gap really quickly. And so if you don't know what a gap up or gap down is, it's a move during pre-market or after hours session. So if a stock moves, stock closes at $30 and then by the open the next day is at $40, that's a $10 gap up during after hours and pre-market session. And so there's not as much trading during those hours. So then if it starts to crack during market hours, it will cut through that $10 really quickly. And that's why people talk about gap ups. Gap. I don't know why I really went off on, but anyway, I'm kind of done, Spaz. I'm going to keep on rambling if you let me keep on talking. So, you go ahead and take over.
No, I mean I'm letting you ramble. Uh, I don't have anything to add. I was giving you a little challenge there. Um, no, I don't. I think that can kind of wrap it up. Just kind of a reminder as far as going through the verification process, typing in the command, getting started, and getting into the roles, digging through the server. Things are going to be rolling out this weekend, so fun stuff, good stuff. Um,
Yeah,
Links
make
on
sure.
the video as well. Just kind of,
Yeah, make sure you do the verification.
yes,
Verification.
the verification will not get you anywhere. You'll be able to see the welcome and the announcements channel, but doing the verification, that'll get you in. Otherwise, you won't have access to the chat rooms, nothing. So definitely got
So
lot happening.
yeah,
A lot more free to have access to, but be able to know the difference, not have what you don't want in front of your face. So, but other than that,
cool.
that pretty much wraps it up. We do have the invite link, so if you want to add more or invite your friends, send it out yourself. Same time, the welcome channel, you can create an invite link off of there. So you can have your own link if you want. Other than that, yeah, Subscribestar is no longer. Now everything is completely open. So
As it
share,
should be.
comment, have
As it
fun.
should. That's right.
Trading is supposed to be fun. That's the design of what we're making this.
Yeah, fun, and we're all here to make.
Learn, profit,
So
and have fun. And make
you
friends.
might know something that I don't. I don't. I want to learn. I want to learn from you guys just as much as you want to learn from us.
Yep. But
All right.
well, good deal. Have a good Labor Day. Have a safe weekend.
Oh yeah.
See
Happy
you on
Labor Day.
Tuesday.
Indeed.